Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to Ask That Podcast here on YouTube. Mm. What we got here is a whole bag of crazy sordid tales of hookers, weed, and grindhouse movies by Pete Chiarella. Now, if that ain't Pete Chiarella, you're like, who the fuck is Pete Chiarella? If you're into sleazy movies and 42nd Street and exploitation, you know the name 42nd Street Pete. This is 42nd Street Pete. I'm getting a quick story about this. Back, it's sometime early this year, I'm not exactly sure when. I got a buddy of mine, at 32. He runs Sleeve Swing magazine. He told me he was working on an article about Jane Mansfield for the Grindhouse Purgatory, which is Pete's magazine. And I told him about how my father, back in the day, matter of fact, it was the night before Jane died, he went and seen her perform at, I can't remember the name of the club in Biloxi or Gulfport, and then gave her a ride around on his motorcycle for a few minutes. My mom waited for Dad to get through with that so she could take him home. He could take her home. I don't think they were married yet. It was right before my parents got married. I'm not exactly sure. I can't remember how long they dated after they got out of service before they got married. Dad was fresh out of the service. And he used that in his article. Well, I know Pete loves wrestling, so I sent him something I'd written. And Pete's like, oh, I love it. I might put it in a future issue. So I started talking to Pete through emails. And I was like, hey, I know you're a wrestling fan. Have you read the Gary Hart book? He goes, no, man, I really want to read it. I think it's $400. I'm like, do you mind PDFs? And he's like, you got a PDF of it? I'm like, yeah. So I sent it to him. Well, as a thank you, he's like, man, what's your address? I'm like, okay, here. He sent me his book, which I don't know how much this thing cost. You buy it directly from Pete. I think it's sold on Amazon, probably a $15 book. It's a print on demand. So I got it in. I told Pete, it's like, after I get through reading it, I will sit down and do a video review of it, help promote it. Well, it kind of got shuffled around and put to the side. I was reading like Hollywood Babylon when it came in, so I wanted to finish that. And then between when I got this in and when I finally got it read, a couple other books came in. The XPW history book, I believe, was only half the job. I wanted to read that, and that was thin. So I'll get it read quick. The Way of the Blade book came in, and I was like, I want to get that read. So I read that. Because I had a feeling once I started Pete's book, it'd be one of them where I'm going to read it all in one day. I even got into the Ernest book, the Jim Varney book written by John Cherry. It's like Memoirs of a Clown, Keeper of the Clown, something like that. Read that. Well, I started reading on this as of recording 3 nights ago. I'd lay down at night before I go to bed, take my sleep meds, put on a podcast to listen to. Then I'd start reading. Well, I'd end up reading for a couple of hours every night, not meaning to, but would end up doing it. Read this book, and oh my God, this is great. So, what we got here? Gary Kent gives a little blurb. Long Jeannie Silver gives a little blurb. I'm known as 42nd Street Pete, a character I created as a living reminder of the lost decade of the 70s. I was one of the million nameless, faceless kids with no direction, no future. We all had the ugly specter of the Vietnam War hanging like a sword over our heads. We weren't college material, we were clerks, gas station attendants, custodians, and like pretty much cannon fodder for the front lines. Most of us knew that we stood a good chance of being drafted and coming back in the back, so we lost ourselves in an explosion of drugs, alcohol, sex, violence, and music that were the 70s. Hustler, pot fiend, porn expert. Take a walk down a dark alley at 42nd Street Pete. If you really remember the 70s, you were lucky to have survived. We got, let's see, Michael Razzo from Pop Cinema, yeah. What this is Pete just telling stories from back then. It starts off like him as a kid growing up. And it's kind of chronological order. I mean, now, warning, it's a lot of stories about hookers and all that kind of stuff. And Pete goes into detail. Whew. He talks about seeing what he's pretty sure was a snuff film on 42nd Street at Show World, the infamous peep show place where you walked in and put a couple slugs, tokens in the thing, and you got to see like a minute and a half of a porn film. Talks about all kinds of stuff. About, actually there's quite a few stories where you say, like, I changed the names. I had to protect himself. Like there's a story about how a cop, was fucking with Pete over something. And Pete luckily got off with like a small charge, so they should have got him on. This cop's gonna keep on fucking with him. Well, Pete's father ran a pharmacy, and one of the guys came in the pharmacy. Let's just say this guy. How do I put this? This guy. He don't say his name, but let's just say this guy, might be in the trash business, if you get what I'm saying. Trash business. Kind of, this guy might be, kind of connected. And Pete's dad had helped this guy out. Little small stuff. Like, and Pete mentioned, this guy would every once in a while catch VD from a hooker. He was screwed. He didn't want his wife to know, so he go to his dad's pharmacy, Pete's dad's pharmacy, and get penicillin without a prescription. Little small shit. So he helped Pete out. It's about selling at flea markets and the porn industry. It's just so good, so well done. Now, there's not many pictures. I noticed that. The few there is, there's Pete with Mick Foley, Pete with Minaj, Pete with Classy, Freddie Blassie, Pete with Vanessa Del Rio, and Al Goldstein and Screwed. That's where I started reading last night, and I finished it. So much, such a blast. And mine is personally Autography C. 42nd Street. Hope you enjoy the ride. Stay safe. XXX at 42p. Now, right now, Pete has a YouTube channel called I'm pretty sure it's just called 42nd Street Pete Presents. Go check it out. Go watch some of his videos. If you enjoy them, order a copy of this book. You can get it off Amazon, but Pete lists in his videos where you can get in touch with him personally, and my understanding is that he makes more money off if you buy the stuff directly from him than if you buy it from Amazon. Same thing with Grindhouse Purgatory. I assumed it was a difference of like $1 or so I was ordering them off Amazon because I'd have to pay for shipping, Then I learned that you get them for Pete, you get them cheaper. So next issue, Pete, I'm ordering directly from you, sir. Thank you for the book. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'll be honest, I'm through reading it. I'm passing it on to my father. My father's going to love this. Because my father is a little sleaze swing back in the day. I mean, you go watch his channel, sit and have a laugh with Pat. There's some nice heartwarming stories. There are stories about him being drunk as shit in Hawaii and biting somebody's ear off. And smacking them in the head with a board with nails, He got involved with some things. And there's some stories that I've been told that he's not going to tell on that channel. He wants to keep that channel halfway family friendly, and I understand that. But there's some stories. I've heard quite a few from him and from people he's told them to. But hope y'all enjoyed that. Go check it out. A whole bag of crazy. Look, Pete's, he got all the marquees in his glass, got the joint hanging out of his mouth. But remember, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe, all the other bullshit. Talk to everybody later. Bye-bye.